All right, guys, I hope you're ready to have some fun because we're about to have a lot of fucking fun. I'm just telling you up front. If you don't want to have fun, click out of this segment, okay? So, the right has been absolutely losing their minds over the Tim Walz VP pick. They don't know how to handle him. They have absolutely nothing on him. They have Dickie McGee's axe. Let's start with this fun article from Axios. This is hilarious. Title is, GOP breathes sigh of relief over Tim Walz pick as Harris VP nominee. Okay, sure you do. Sure you do. By the way, they were so convinced it was going to be Shapiro. At the event that J.D. Vance did on the day that Kamala's pick was going to come out, they had already printed anti-Shapiro posters, calling him corrupt, going after him in 1,000 different ways, because, guys, he had so many scandals. I mean, he allegedly ruled something a suicide, and the woman was stabbed in the back like 11 times, and he said it's a suicide, and come to find out, the person who was the suspect had donated to his campaign. Really? A murder cover-up? You're going to go in that direction? Thankfully, they didn't go in that direction. But now they're all pretending like, Josh Shapiro would have been the strongest pick for Kamala to make, bro. Would have been the strongest pick. Adam Johnson calls this the inexplicable Republican best friend, where you have all these people who are on the far right who purport to give good faith advice to the left. Like, you should have went in that direction, and I would have been very upset. Oh, yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure you're giving me good faith advice right now. Newt Gingrich was melting down over this. The Bush-era neocon warmongers were like, that should have been Shapiro. If you're pissing off Newt Gingrich and Bush-era war criminals, you made the right fucking decision. Okay, all right, let's continue here. So they say, oh, bro, Walz? Who's Walz, bro? Who's Walz, bro? I don't know who this guy is, this guy's stupid pick. You made a stupid pick. Many Republicans expressed surprise and relief at the choice of Minnesota Governor Tim Walz as Vice President Kamala Harris' running mate, readying renewed radical liberal attacks. Guys, I love this. These attacks are going to fall so fucking flat, so hard. I love this. I want to bathe in this. This is beautiful. By all means, proceed. Republicans saw Waltz as the easier target for them as they try to regain momentum after a rough few weeks for the GOP and their own VP candidate. Republicans plan to paint Waltz as far left, highlighting that he was backed for VP by Senator Bernie Sanders. By the way, Bernie is still to this day one of the most popular senators in the country. Even Bernie likes him. Okay, you're not making the point you think you're making. And reminding people of Waltz's handling of the 2020 protests after the police killing of George Floyd. So guys, I'm not kidding. One of the arguments that they're going with is, Tim Walz actually wanted the rioters to burn down the Walgreens. Who the fuck is dumb enough to believe that? You think independents and moderates and swing voters, people you need, are going to be like, why, yes, this governor of Minnesota, I'm sure, wanted the rioters to burn down the Walgreens. Like, what are we doing? Oh my God, this is so sad for them. Oh, it's so sad for them. Republicans have already been painting Harris as too progressive and plan to try to accuse her of being anti-Israel for overlooking Jewish Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro, whose pro-Israel stances have faced criticism from the left. All right, so anyway, you get the gist of it. By the way, they're so confident that, hey, we're relieved that it's Waltz. Not a single Republican put their name on it. Not a single one. All right, we're just getting started. By the way, the whole thing, he's with the protesters who burned down the Walgreens, bro. A Boogaloo boy was charged in fire of Minnesota police precinct during George Floyd protest. Oh, it was a right-winger, in the same way that everybody and their mother blamed the left after the Trump assassination attempt, but it turns out the guy was a right-winger. Okay. All right. Now, by the way, say, he didn't handle it well. Okay, well, what happened? He sent in the cops a little bit too late. You guys are going to make that argument. The ones who are currently supporting Trump, who sat there for hours as his rioters broke into the Capitol and tried to stop the certification of Joe Biden. You guys are literally the last people on earth to make it. He didn't send law enforcement in fast enough. That's like Trump's whole thing. That's the main. He tried to do a coup, tried to overthrow the government, and one of the pieces of the plan was, let these people delay the certification, let them fucking riot in the Capitol. Oh, God, they have nothing, guys. They have nothing. All right, here we go. Trump campaign roasted over slamming Waltz for helping to, quote, allow convicted felons to vote. Let me give you the exact quote. From proposing his own carbon-free agenda, oh, how terrifying, to suggesting stricter emission standards for gas-powered cars. Oh, How terrifying. And embracing policies to allow convicted felons to vote. Waltz is obsessed with spreading California's dangerously liberal agenda far and wide. If Waltz won't tell voters the truth, we will. Just like Kamala Harris, Tim Walz is a dangerously liberal extremist, and the Harris-Waltz California dream is every American's nightmare. They're attacking him for getting felons their right to vote back. Donald Trump is a convicted felon. That's not an opinion. This is not subjective. That's a fact. The official stance of the Trump campaign is Donald Trump shouldn't be allowed to vote, but he should be allowed to be president. These are the dumbest fucking people on the planet. Not a single person in the room, when you came up with this shitty ass statement, not a single person in the room chimed in and said, this isn't going to make sense. And we're going to look like the biggest hypocrites in the world. Because we're arguing Trump shouldn't have the right to vote. That's what we're doing. There were 91 criminal charges. I think now we're down to like 86 or something like that. He was already found liable in a whole bunch of civil lawsuits. He did business fraud, insurance fraud, tax fraud, defamation as it related to a sexual assault that he did. And of course, you know, you got the big one of them all is trying to overthrow the last election, the fake elector scheme. Their words, not mine. And you're going to, wait, felons shouldn't vote. Trump should be thanking Tim Walz. Hey, thank you for taking the category that I'm part of and giving them their rights. Okay. All right. This segment's going to go on forever. So here's Ben Shapiro, intellectual Ben Shapiro, coming in with his very intellectual argument. Meet Tim Walz, who lives in a van down by the river. So this is just a picture of Waltz when he had more weight on him and he was fat. Okay? Like, what point do you think you're making here? God, he's such a hack. All right, more. So this is J.D. Vance, and he's going to... These were like his first shots at Tim Walz. Here we go.
This is a guy who's proposed shipping more manufacturing jobs to China.
No, he hasn't. So the China line, let's be clear about this thing. The China line is because he had visited China a number of times. I think he learned Mandarin. And the right is now using this to try to argue he's like sold out to communist China, like almost like a sleeper agent type argument. But the fact of the matter is his voting record when he was in Congress, he consistently voted against outsourcing deals, including being against fast track for Trans-Pacific Partnership. The worst of all of them. So he wants to ship jobs to China. Absolute fucking nonsense. Tim Walz's record is massively pro-worker. He did sectoral bargaining for nursing home workers. He got rid of the non-compete clauses. He raised wages. He's anti-worker. Oh, you're running with the guy who lost 200,000 manufacturing jobs, you absolute liar. Under Biden, we actually gained 800,000.
On garbage energy instead of good American energy, and has proposed defunding the police just as Kamala Harris does. I think it's interesting, actually, they make an interesting tag team because, of course, Tim Walz allowed rioters to burn down Minneapolis in the summer of 2020, and then the few who got caught, Kamala Harris helped bail them out of jail. So it is more instructive for what it says about Kamala Harris that she doesn't care about the border, she doesn't care about crime, she doesn't care about American energy, and most importantly, she doesn't care about the Americans who have been made to suffer under those policies.
Okay, J.D. Vance, listen to me very carefully. This isn't going to work. It's not going to work. Nobody is going to look at a ticket where the top of the ticket was a prosecutor. You remember the whole Kamala's a cop thing? Nobody's going to look at that and say, soft on crime. It's literally prosecutor versus felon. You're on the side of the felon. Okay? Who are we kidding here? The best they think they got is Tim Walz was okay with them burning down the Walgreens. I don't know how to get this through to you. This argument will land with fucking 0 people who are not already voting for you. He's got more, though. All right, so here he is. This is their line. Oh, he's far left, bro. I mean, he's so far left, bro. Here we go. Listen.
So first of all, the reason I didn't say a whole lot about Tim Walz is because the Democrats have showed a willingness to pull a little switcheroo on us. So I don't even know if we're actually going to get Tim Walz out of this campaign. And I think that a lot of us...
This is their weird, like, you know, they all have the conspiracy. It's actually not going to be Kamala. It's going to be Michelle Obama. So many people have said that. Wrong. So they're still doing, maybe at the convention they'll make it Michelle Obama, and I don't even know if it's going to be Tim Walz. Shut the fuck up.
Are asking ourselves, well, it's not going to be official until the Democrats actually nominate him, I guess, at their convention next week. So that's the first reason. The second reason is, look, Tim Walz's record is a joke. He's been one of the most far-left radicals in the entire United States government at any level. But I think that what Tim Walz's selection says is that Kamala Harris has bent the knee to the far left of her party, which is what she always does.
Just so we're clear, you know how Tim Walz is going to respond to this, right? Everybody understands how Tim Walz is going to respond to this, right? He's literally just going, oh, am I far left? Well, here are the so-called far left things I did. I gave kids in school free breakfast and free lunch. Ooh, I guess if that's far left, you want to call me far left? Call me fucking far left. I don't give a shit. This is how he responds to it. You think you're going to win, but, here's far left. Nobody gives a fuck about your fucking labels. Nobody's going to vote based on, radical. Nobody cares. What are they doing? And what are you doing? You're doing Project 2025. You said you want to outright ban porn. And you said this in 2021. You want to ban abortion completely and not even allow people to leave red states to go to a blue state to get an abortion. You're losing this debate and you're going to lose it miserably. All right, more. I can't. This segment is going to be never ending. So, Tim Walz came out and said that he defended Target. Remember that there was this meltdown over Target. Said, there's trans positive things at Target. They sell stuff that also trans people might want to buy, and we're against that. And we think this is satanic of Target. There was this big boycott. It wasn't big. It was like 17 conservatives who thought they were doing something and they really weren't. So Tim Walz came out and he's like, these fucking guys are weird. What are you talking about? Like, calm down. It's not a big deal. And so Trump's team comes out and says, Tim Walz thinks it's insane that people would be upset at Target for partnering with a satanic designer to promote transgender products for kids. By the way, we went through the numbers. You know how many kids under the age of 18 got any sort of trans surgery, gender-affirming surgery? The number is literally like 862. And they make it seem like 30% of the country is just turning trans on a whim and going to the let me chop off my dick and balls factory. Okay, satanic designer. So as this person points out, Trump's official campaign account accusing Tim Walz of fraternizing with Satanism. You think this is desperate? It's only going to get more desperate. I love this one. Massive cope from Vivek Ramaswamy. Waltz is a massive gift to Republicans. The media keeps trying to hand Kamala the race on a silver platter, but apparently she refused to accept it. You got another thing coming, homie. All right. Now we get, again, the poster boy of right-wing weirdness, Stephen Miller. He's a twerpy, derpy little fascist that was in the Trump administration. He's the guy who was the architect of a lot of the border policies. He's also the guy who went on some Sunday show and literally spray painted black paint on his head and tried to pretend like it was his hair. So he comes out and he's very fired up about Tim Walz. He wants you to know how terrible Tim Walz is. And he says the following.
This man is a moron, he is an incompetent, he is a radical, and he is going to turn the entire Midwest into a third world state. This is a disaster for America. We have to beat this guy, and we have to beat Harris in November.
He also goes on to say he's going to turn America into Mogadishu. Yeah, you're being really subtle here, bro. You're being really subtle here with your commentary. You know why he's mad? Because Tim Walz is okay with some refugee resettlement. He thinks we're a nation of immigrants, and he thinks most immigrants are good people, hardworking, law-abiding, family people, and he's a decent human being. And if you don't want to kick out every single immigrant in the country, and if you don't want to end refugee status for absolutely everybody, then you are making us a third world country. Tell us how you really feel. Again, this is the guy they trot out when the main line of attack against Republicans right now is you guys are fucking weird. It's this guy. How's that going to go over? Okay, Jesse Waters. The guy, probably one of the people with the lowest IQs on TV. He gives us this gem.
Jessica, I have to ask, why did he honeymoon in China?
What?
He's been to China 30 times. That's strange.
Oh,
I find that
was he there with Hunter Biden?
Suspicious.
Okay.
Someone should look into it.
So again, for those of you who don't get it, he's saying, oh, he's like a communist and he's like a sleeper agent and he secretly agrees with communist China and he wants Xi Jinping to rule over us. And these are all, the implication there is he's not one of us. He's a radical. He's an extremist. Again, his response is going to be, I like giving kids free school breakfast and lunch. You don't? You sound kind of fucked up, don't you? Guys, this is not going to work. And honestly, let me keep it real here. One of the reasons why it's not going to work, look at Tim Walz. Look at him. 60-year-old white guy. There's pictures of him fucking hunting, right? There's 1,000 pictures of him with dogs and cats and being a sweet guy and holding a piglet and smiling and got the most Midwestern vibe of all time. Just feels like a sweet dad who's just trying to look out for you. You think this is going to work? Because he went to China a lot. He's ruled out of this position. What are you guys doing, bro? All right, still more. I'll just say it. Donald Trump and J.D. Vance are creepy and, yes, weird. We are not going back. This is what Tim Walz tweeted the other day. So Joey Manorino, another one of the dumbest right-wing commentators online, he says, "You dressed your dog up in gay clothes and brought him to a pride parade." What? There's a picture of him online where he has his little dog. He's marching at a gay pride parade because he tries to represent all Minnesotans, not just particular ones like you would. And the dog's got a little, like, whatever, a bandana that has the rainbow colors on it. Most people look at that picture and go, "Aw, so cute." You look at it, so gay, communist agenda, radical, far leftist extremist. Oh, I love this. He baited them into being the dumbest people on the planet. Still not done. Okay, so this guy, Chris Rufo, who's like one of the intellectuals on the right who helps drive their agenda and their framing, he comes out and says this. Tim Walz tweeted, "I've said it before and I'll say it again. Our transgender military members are true patriots. They deserve to be thanked, not attacked." Basic, inclusive commentary, right? Like, hey, trans people are humans. Right? Like, that's it. And Tim Walz isn't trans, but he knows about cross-sex hormones. He's familiar with breast binders, and he has a soft spot for tucking. Communist China? Please. They can't tango with diversity. They can't defeat inclusion. They will cry when they hear our transgender patriots roar. Literally nobody thinks about trans people more than right-wing transphobes. Trans people don't think about trans people as much as right-wing transphobes. They are fucking obsessed. He's blinded. And one has to wonder why. Sweet Midwestern dad, like, I think inclusion is good and we should treat everybody equally. Tim Walz isn't trans, but maybe he is. Maybe he knows about cross-sex hormones. He's familiar with breast binders and he has a soft spot for tucking. What? You look like the biggest freak on the planet. They think they're exposing him as a big freak. But no, you're telling on yourselves. By the way, please proceed. Run your campaign on this stuff. I would love to see it. It would make my day. It would make my life seeing you run on this stuff. Because you are going to faceplant so fucking hard. You are levels of cooked that we haven't seen since FDR was president. And he had 80% of the House and 80% of the Senate, and he won 4 presidential elections in a row. This is before we had term limits. That's where you're steering your ship. And I love it. Personally, I absolutely love it. All right, and then finally, we'll end on this one. So, you see all the unhinged right-wing attacks, and we already know how Tim Walz is going to respond because Jake Tapper threw this at him like, this is what they're going to say. What do you say back? Here we go. Watch.
You've legalized recreational marijuana. You passed universal background checks on guns. You expanded LGBTQ protections. You implemented tuition-free college for low-income Minnesotans. There's free breakfast and lunch for school kids. Do you think your record is an asset to the ticket, or would it risk fueling Trump's attacks as you being a big government liberal?
What a monster. Kids are eating and having full bellies so they can go learn, and women are making their own healthcare decisions. And we're a top 5 business state, and we also rank in the top 3 of happiness. Look, they're going to label whatever they're going to label. He's going to roll it out, mispronounce names, to try and make the case. The fact of the matter is, where you see the policies that Vice President Harris was a part of making, Democratic governors across the country executed those policies, and quality of life is higher, the economies are better, all of those things. Educational attainment is better. So yeah, my kids are going to eat here, and you're going to have a chance to go to college, and you're going to have an opportunity to live where we're working on reducing carbon emissions. Oh, and by the way, you're going to have personal incomes that are higher, and you're going to have health insurance. So if that's where they want to label me, I'm more than happy to take the label.
I need you all to understand something, and I want you to pay attention to this. When the Republicans attack Tim Walz, listen to everything they say, right? Listen to everything they say. Oh, communist, extremist, far left, radical. Why do you go to China so much? Why is he so kind to trans people? Listen to all their attacks. Absorb all of them. Really understand what they're saying. And then notice something. Notice none of the attacks can get into specific policies where they think Tim is wrong. Why? Because they know if they just tell you what he did, give you what his record is, they know they're going to get smoked. They know it. There's no doubt about it. You're not going to hear them come out and be specific. I'm against the free school breakfast and free school lunch for kids. I'm against the legal marijuana. I'm against the tax rebates for the working class. I'm against the 12 weeks paid family leave and 12 weeks paid sick leave. I'm against the universal background checks. I'm against the free public college. I'm against the sectoral bargaining for nursing home workers to give them higher wages. I'm against the increase in funding for K-12 schools. I'm against when he opposed the Wall Street bailouts. I'm against when he opposed outsourcing deals. I'm against when he raised the minimum wage for small businesses. I'm against when he raised taxes on multinational corporations. They're not They can't get into specifics, because if they get into specifics on all of those grounds, Tim Walz has views that are not only above 50%, many of the things he supports are poll above 70%. So they will actively ignore his actual record, which, guys, let's call that what it is. Dishonest. They're dishonest. They're disingenuous. They can't accurately describe what he does and then disagree with it in an intellectual way. So what do? They shriek, they cry, they whine, they moan, they shit the bed, they jump the shark, and they flip out. Trans, China, radical, something. Go right ahead. This is why the Tim Walz pick was genius. They're going to attack you now, either with outright lies, which are easy to combat, or they're going to attack you on your strengths, and then you get to steer the conversation. It's a thing of beauty. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.